Hello, welcome to Inside the Tape, presented by Inside the Birds. I'm Geoff Mosher, that's Adam Caplan, and with us, as always, the man who breaks down the tape, it's Greg Cosell. Greg, as you know, and as every Eagles fan knows, the Eagles come back from the bye after a very disappointing loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they fell to 2-2, and they come back, and now they face a Browns team, Greg, at home in Philadelphia, and this Browns team has been a get-right team for all but one opponent this year, right? So you know that the Eagles fan, at least, is thinking, all right, all the ills that have struck in the Eagles over the last few weeks, maybe the Browns can be the cure.
When they could be the cure-all for the Eagles' woes.
Exactly, exactly. We already broke down last week the loss to Tampa Bay, so no need to go back through that,
right?
And the all 22. So let's talk about the Browns, what they're doing, why they're not good, but any potential challenges that they will pose for the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, they do have a win; they beat Jacksonville, and we'll talk about them, and then of course I'll bring some all 22 clips to the table for us to go through. So why don't we just start, Greg, with your just overall observations of the Browns and what jumps out to you?
I would say that they're a really tough watch on offense, and we'll get into that. And I would say on defense, they're still good with good players. It's just the defense has been a struggle at times because the offense has been so poor. It's really difficult to play in this league defensively every week when literally every snap seems like an earth-shattering snap because you just don't know what the offense is going to do. They don't score very much. They don't control the ball. They don't run the ball particularly effectively. And Nick Chubb is certainly not playing this week. And Watson, and we'll get into more, specifics about his game, but he's really not played as an NFL starting quarterback. And, we're not in the building. Obviously, they're going to continue to start him. Kevin Stefanski made that clear literally right after the loss last week that he's still quarterback one. I can't speak to why that is. I'm not there, but he's really played poorly. And, we'll get into more of the specifics, but he's like I said, he has not played at the level of an NFL starting quarterback.
Yeah, the cash of the 46 million this year, 46 next year, and 46 million the year after that. That's why he's starting. But Greg, you and I remember in 2020, I remember talking to you, and I don't know, we might have been somewhere at an event, and you would ask me if I had heard anything about Watson. We're just going to talk about his play on the field, and so, right. Yeah, I heard he's doing well. And you go something like you don't realize how good he is. Let's put the tape we're going to show later aside right now.
Yeah.
What made him so darn good in 2020?
Well, Watson was a really, really good mix of playing from the pocket and being able to make out of structure plays. I mean, he was one of those quarterbacks that did not just leave the pocket for no reason, but when he did, he made plays, and he also made really good throws from the pocket because he throws the ball well. There's no problem with the way he throws the ball. He saw things well. He made throws. He was on his way to being a really good player in this league, and actually was at the time. I'm not making a list here, so I'm not going to say, well, he was top 3, top, but whatever. Sure. The point is, he was a good player. He obviously missed a lot of time, and since he's been back, it looks like he doesn't see things well. He leaves a ton of throws on the field. He breaks down in the pocket prematurely. And that's always a problem for a quarterback. He predetermines a lot of throws where he wants to go with the ball, and that results in a lack of clarity and vision in the pocket. And he's what I call a pressure perceiver. He gets a glimpse of opposing jersey color, and he immediately breaks down. And that may be as bad a trait as any NFL quarterback can have, because he just disrupts your entire offense when he does that.
So they're not throwing the ball well. They're not running the ball very well. They're not playing great defense. Otherwise, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're not a good football team right now, but as we all know, it's still an NFL game, and you never know. And by the way, he still can get out of the pocket, and he still can make plays on occasion. So you can't just go in with the idea that, well, he's no good. I'm just telling you what the tape shows. I
Right.
can't tell you what's going to happen this Sunday. I'm just telling you what the tape shows.
And the pass star group is actually very good. It's just a matter of can the quarterback find some accuracy and actually play on control. So yeah, for the people thinking the games that give me, if the way that Watson's playing, I get that, but it's not like that they don't have talent. But now, one thing before we move on, there are a ton of injuries they're dealing with on both sides of the football.
Right,
Yeah.
but I think isn't their receiving core healthy? And Njoku came back last week.
Yeah.
And their O-line actually is kind of back. I mean, Wills played last week, Bitonio played. You know, I don't think DeJuan Jones has been great at right tackle, and I don't know what Conklin's status is, Adam. You would know better than I.
Yeah, he hadn't played yet. Yeah.
Yeah, so Jones has been up and down. They're playing the rookie from Michigan, Zach Zinter, at right guard. You know, I think he's one of those guys that you probably feel you could be better than he is, but he's not going to kill you. So, you know, the O-line is not terrible by any means. It's just, you know, Watson has missed too many things, and he just drops back and leaves the pocket, and you can't play like that.
Right. We'll get to some all 22 of that, Greg, both some of the struggles and the good throws. I want to talk about the construct of Cleveland's offense and what the Eagles will have to face, as the Eagles are still trying to overcome their own deficiencies on defense with tackling, with assignments, with alignments. So the Browns are predominantly an 11 personnel team. Is that a change from what they've been in the past? Is that related, do you think, to Nick Chubb not playing yet, or any other personnel?
I would say that's probably fair, Jeff. I mean, more than 75% of their plays have come out of 11. That's one of the higher percentages in the league, playing out of 11 personnel, meaning one back, one tight end, and 3 wide receivers. Obviously, Njoku was gone for a number of weeks. He's now back. I don't know if that means they'll play out of more 12, because they have the extra tight end, and he's obviously their best tight end. But they do have quality wide receivers. I mean, they've got Cooper, they've got Judy, they've got Moore, they've got Tillman. You know, don't forget when Njoku was out, it was Swaim and Akins. So you're probably not looking to play with multiple tight ends. So we'll see if that changes this week. We don't know the answer to that. But that's what they've been up to this point.
Well, I mean,
Geoff,
Adam,
couple things.
You would think real quick that if Kevin Stefanski is watching tape, he's probably thinking, I hope I can get it right this week out of 11 personnel, because that's the personnel group that has given the Eagles the most issues so far. Yeah,
a couple things. So they're definitely 11 personnel. That was the way they did it in training camp with Judy, because they redid Judy's contract. Cooper and Elijah Moore. And Njoku, by the way, he had a high ankle sprain. They limited his snaps last week. He also now has a knee injury. I don't know that he's even going to play. I hope he does.
Who's this?
Njoku. He got hurt in the game.
He just come back.
Yeah, and what's his name? Wyatt Teller's on IR, so their line is still banged up. In fact, they have one healthy lineman right now. Well, it's actually Zinter. Bitonio's going to play, but he's got an injury.
Well, Will played last week. Is he?
Yeah, he's still in the injury, but yes, I expect him to play. I'm just saying, guys are playing hurt.
Okay.
It's just they're both to their linebacker. Hicks has missed time. Denzel Ward has a new injury. Delpit's got a concussion. They just can't. It's just one thing after another. This is why they're 1-4.
And look, we don't know what's in Watson's head, okay? But quarterbacks are still human, and it's very possible he just anticipates getting pressured and he moves when he doesn't need to, because he just figures, hey, I'm going to get pressure. And I've seen that with quarterbacks through the years, and you really have to work hard to not think that way. But again, I'm not the quarterback dropping back, and I'm not getting hit by big guys. So, you know, it's easy for me to say, but at the end of the day, I think that quarterbacks would tell you that you can't respond to the rush like that and be an effective NFL quarterback.
True.
Okay, Greg, well, let's take a look at some of the issues in the passing game with Deshaun Watson that you've been referencing. This is a third quarter play here, and the Browns, as we just talked about, are in their 11 personnel, so I'll let you take it from here.
Well, first of all, I want you to look at the top of the screen at Jerry Jeudy. He's one of the receivers at the top of the screen. I think he's inside in the stack. Okay, so Geoff, we'll go back. We'll run this and then come back. Just watch Jeudy. Let's just let the audience watch Jerry Jeudy. Okay, so you can run this.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy is wide open. This would be wide open by any standard: high school, college, NFL. He's wide open.
Pull the trigger.
Okay.
Go.
Now the pocket, if you want the pocket,
by the way,
pretty nice.
The way you froze it here, you can see there's a totally clean pocket. Okay, totally clean. Okay. This is what I meant by leaving throws on the field. Now, again, I don't know where he's looking. I don't know if he sees Judy, but he's not processing it. I'm not in his head. But this throw has to be, this is the NFL. This
Ugh.
throw has to be made.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the more I run it, the more protection he's getting. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
wow,
nice
that
and
is
clean.
unreal NFL
Yeah. I
protection.
mean, this throw has to be made by any NFL quarterback.
Right.
So, and this has been very symptomatic of the season, guys. This is not, I want people to understand who are watching and listening. This is not an isolated example. We didn't pull one out just to say, wow, look, Deshaun Watson is bad. This is not personal. This is not an isolated example. So there's no pressure on him whatsoever. Jerry Jeudy is wide open on the crosser or over, depending on whatever term a coach wants to use. This ball's got to be thrown. Got to be thrown.
Right there.
And then so what happens? Now he breaks down and leaves the pocket. So he creates his own pressure. He runs into his own sack and fumble. This is all on Watson.
Yep. Now, I mean, this is like, sometimes you'll see a quarterback not processing and just either throw the ball away or incomplete. This was the antithesis of what you want happening, right? I mean,
I don't know what he's looking, unless his eyes were just going to the mirrored crossers. But you know, that everything's right in the middle of the field. It's not as if Judy was all the way on one side. Everything was right in front of him. You have to see that.
Right. And so you're saying you've seen that fairly repeatedly throughout the and
like I said, you know, with not knowing what's in his head, I don't know if he's not seeing it. I don't know if his eyes are in the wrong place. I don't know if he's just not processing. I don't know why, other than the fact that it exists on tape.
Greg, the word that I learned from you and Jaws is frenetic.
Yeah.
He looks so frenetic in the pocket. He's moving for no reason.
Right.
It's just really hard to watch. As using your term, it's a hard watch.
They've been a hard offense to watch. I mean, it's just the reality, and we'll see. I mean, could that change? Look, until he had his issues, off the field issues, he was a really high level NFL quarterback. He has not been at all since he came back.
Adam, how surprised would you be if the Browns are trailing, say 21-0 at half, if they go to Winston in this game coming up?
I wouldn't at all, because they need to do it, and it's not fair to the fans, quite frankly. He's so bad. I understand why he's playing because of his contract. We don't need to guess. It's why he's playing. Okay.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, it becomes a point where the players know that
the players do know. You lose your team.
Yes. Okay. At some point, you got to try to win here. You're trying to be competitive, because Jim Schwartz, you know, their defenses. We'll get into that before we get out here about kind of a couple things that have happened. But you can't. Greg said earlier, you can't keep putting on your defense. Because by the way, and you know this, Geoff, because we've talked to players over the years on defense, there becomes a problem at some point in the locker room. I'm not saying it's happening now. If this continues and it's the reason why the offense is the problem, there's going to be some finger pointing. It happens in every NFL locker room when it's clear when the defense carries the offense. It's just the way it is. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Veteran players on defense, Geoff, and you know, they've been around, and they don't care who the quarterback is. They want the quarterback to be able to win. And, you know, and the other issue is you brought it up with the fact that the backup is Jameis Winston. It's not as if the backup is some rookie who's never taken a snap in the NFL. Jameis Winston has had success in this league. I know everybody just thinks about the year he threw 30 interceptions, but Jameis Winston then went and played for the Saints and was the starter and was doing exceptionally well when he tore his ACL. That was, I think, 3 years ago, give or take. You know, he was really playing well for the Saints. You can line up and play with Jameis Winston.
And he is an aggressive thrower, man. You know, him and Flacco, it's ironically, we're talking about Browns backup quarterbacks. And then you got Deshaun guys who won't sit there and throw the football when it's dialed up. Boy, that was a great visual. That shows you exactly what's going on.
Well, speaking of, Greg made a point, though, to say that there are times where Deshaun Watson can still see it and throw it. Throwing is not the issue when he sees it. So we're going to look at a play here, Greg, where he does hit one of his best receivers, which is
this is Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper for 19 yards. And
this was his best throw of the game, and arguably one of his best throws of the season, because there was a rhythmic feel to this. He's going to run the curl route if you want to run this. He's down at the bottom of the screen, so people can understand that. He's going to run a curl route. It's going to be a two-man route concept. He's going to run the curl.
right there at the 30-yard line.
And you're gonna have the back release outside into the flat to pull the flat defender away from the passing window. I'm sure people can see that. You see the defender down below. He's the flat defender in this cover 3. So you pull him out and you have the tight, it's actually 3-man route concept. You have the tight end cross the face of the hook to curl defender. So he has to respond to him, and that opens the passing window. And you can see that this is a timing rhythmic throw. It's probably still a hair late, but at least there's a sense of timing and rhythm here. Because if you notice, Cooper is waiting for the ball. You notice that? He shouldn't be quite waiting for the ball.
Yeah, because if he gets it a little early, he can turn around and try to head up the field there. Yeah,
because St. Just, who's their matchup corner for the Commanders, and pretty much matched up to Cooper all game, he was playing off coverage, but the throw was late. But at least there was a sense of, and you'll see it from this angle. If you just want to run it, Geoff, you'll see that he'll probably be a beat late. Just drops back. He takes a little bit of an extra hitch.
Yeah. He could drive it. He's still got that arm strength.
Yeah, but he still can throw the ball. So this was clearly defined.
Right
so
here.
you have to do your best now as a coaching staff, because of the way he's playing, to really define throws as much as possible. I forget the down, Geoff. Was this first down by chance?
I believe it was, yeah.
If it's first down, you can do that better. Obviously, when it's 3rd and 9, you can't do that as well, because that's where the defense has its largest bag of tricks. But on first down, you have to define it as cleanly as possible for any quarterback, really. But so Watson can hit his back foot, know where he's going with the ball, see it, and throw it.
Yeah. Last thing, Greg, as we talk about the Browns offense, you did mention that they play a lot of spread empty formations with their receivers. And this is interesting for the Eagles, Adam, right? And Greg, because we could be seeing a change of nickel corner here with Cooper DeJean in instead of Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox had his struggles, and we have high expectations for Cooper to eventually be a good player. But this would be an interesting test for him if he's got to be matched up man-to-man inside, which spread can tend to make you play. Not always, but
Watson's been in empty more than any quarterback in the NFL.
Wow.
And the thing that's interesting, he's been sacked 6 times. And when you're in empty, I know teams come at you sometimes because you only have 5 pass blockers. And if a team really wants to get someone in clean, they can. But the point is, then the ball's got to come out. You know that you only have 5 pass protectors, your 5 offensive linemen, and you know that teams are probably some teams anyway, are going to attempt to just overload that and make sure that someone gets in clean. You can't be sacked 6 times. The ball's got to come out. The point of empty is normally quicker throws, timing throws. So the fact that he's been sacked 6 times in 53 snaps of empty is way too many times.
That's not good.
Well, here's an example of him actually doing the job and getting rid of the ball when he's supposed to. This one is also going to be to Amari Cooper. It was, I forget the down and distance here, but he is in empty. They're obviously in the high red zone here.
Yeah.
And you remember this play. You can see spread out. You got the 3 receivers on top and the 2 to the left. I believe Cooper is on the bottom right here, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's number 2, yeah.
It's 2, yeah.
So I'll just run it to show. What would you say Washington's doing here? They look like they're
they're in a too high shell coverage.
Yeah.
So which a lot of people play in. They're just outside the red zone. So again, here's what I was talking about. 2-man route concept to the boundary, slant flat.
Yep.
This is about as basic as it gets. Okay. Now they're working the 2-man side. So basically what the coverage is here, they're playing zone, pure split safety, 4 over 3 to the 3 receiver side, 3 over 2 to the 2 receiver side. It's a simple 1 defender read. You're reading, you know who it is, Geoff, if you want to point him out. You're reading the underneath defender to the 2 receiver side. You see who I'm talking about?
This guy.
That guy right there.
Yep.
That's the read. Okay.
Yep. And once he freezes him, he's able to make that throw in between.
Right. So that's the read. That's the throw.
Yep.
It's pretty basic.
So Vic Fangio has not played a whole lot of too high in the red zone this year. In fact, that's where he's been more aggressive. He's blitzed more in the red zone. I'd be curious to see.
Well, that's where he usually plays his snaps of 0 too when you get into the red zone.
I was just about to say usually,
but every team plays too high in the red zone to some extent. That's universal.
Right.
That's universal.
So that would be a look at the Browns offense. It's not been great this year, but as you
No.
pointed out, when it's good, he can make some throws. When it's not, it looks ugly and the ball gets popped in the air a little bit.
And he can still make some plays outside of structure. You got to be careful about that.
Right. All right, let's move over to the defense. Ab and I were having a real I don't know, a guffaw fest, a laugh fest. Like looking at the stats, I'm like, oh wow, the Browns defense, coached by Jim Schwartz, is third in the league in blitzing. What? It was almost like a
Yeah.
double take. Eagles fans are probably upset to hear that, Greg. They wanted this guy to blitz like this, for about 5 years.
Yeah, no, they still have really good personnel on defense. I mean, keep in mind, it hasn't been that way this year, but a year ago, they were far and away the best third down defense in the NFL. They've got really good players at all three levels. So this is not an easy defense to play against.
Right. They still have Myles Garrett. Right. Did Grant Delpit get hurt, Adam? Do you know what the status is on Delpit, the safety?
Yeah, Delpit, I'll tell you right now. I think he has a concussion, but let me just double check.
Okay, so that'll obviously cloud his status for the game. And Myles
in fact,
I believe, is playing with some kind of injury that he's just trying to play through.
Yeah, so Denzel Ward is a new injury. It's a hamstring. Ward has had significant concussion problems in his career. Now, Grant Delpit does have a concussion, so
he's probably not going to go this week.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good for him.
So what it'll mean is it'll be McLeod and Hickman, I would imagine.
Hickman, Ronnie Hickman, right, yeah. Exactly. Roddy McLeod, former Eagle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if they can't get Ward on the field, how do you see them attacking, both in base and nickel, Greg, with their personnel?
So I'm trying to think who'll be the starter opposite Emerson then if Ward can't go. They'll probably play Newsome outside, I would think.
Who started his career outside, then they moved him inside. Yes.
Right. So when everybody's healthy, a Newsome is the slot corner and nickel when everybody's healthy. But obviously, if Ward can't go, and boy, he's been injured a lot too, which is a shame because he's a good player. But if Ward cannot go, I'm trying to think. Who would be the guy? Let's see.
You mean the nickel? Because I guess Newsome and Emerson would play outside, and then
I
wonder if they have an outside corner that they would put in there.
Well, what they could do is the next man up is Mike Ford, who's played a lot of snaps, or Cameron Mitchell. What could happen is Cameron Mitchell, he came in and played a lot of slot last week. So Mitchell would play in the slot, and Newsome would stay outside.
Got it. So back to Schwartz being a blitzer, which we did not see much of here. Greg, what do you attribute that to? Changing times and Jim finally adapting?
I don't know what's in his head, but obviously they've been a higher percentage blitz team. They're one of the highest in the league, actually.
They're actually not. Their pressure numbers aren't great. And by the way, Garrett's playing with his really bad foot. He's got all sorts of problems with it, and that may have something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, the last week they got burned a lot by Daniels when they blitzed. Daniels responded really well. They rushed 5 or more on 16 of his 33 dropbacks. That's about 50%. But Daniels responded really, really well. So they did get 2 sacks. So we'll see what he chooses to do this week. Obviously, if Ward doesn't go, now that Delpit's a really good player, and if he's not there, I think that changes. I don't want to say it changes what they do, but it changes how well they can do it.
Right. All right, so the Browns have primarily been a heavy nickel team, not much dime, a little bit of base.
They play a lot of single high safety. That's their foundation.
Which is a Jim Schwartz trademark, correct?
Yes.
A lot of single high safety. What do you notice about their fronts when they're either blitzing or not blitzing? Because it used to be that Jim just kind of lined up the guys in the same techniques and said, go get the quarterback or go get the running back on the way to the quarterback. Has that changed as well?
I mean, obviously they're blitzing more, but when they just come with 4, they do move people around because they have 3 guys that can line up anywhere and they move around depending on the opponent. So it doesn't happen the same way every week. But Garrett can move around, Za'Darius Smith can move around, and Okoronkwo can move around. So they've got 3 guys that can line up, all over the defensive front.
All right, we're going to take a look at a play, Greg, where it didn't really work well for them, but just to get an idea of what they want to do. And this blitz did not work because Jaden Daniels can move around and finds McLaurin, who can catch the ball.
Talking about the 66-yarder?
I believe this is the 66-yarder to McLaurin.
Yeah, that was on 3rd and 13, and it came off second reaction movement by Daniels. They rushed 6 with the green dog element. They played out of a 3 deep zone shell.
Right. Right. So here we go. Do you want me to run it first, or do
So
you?
I remember that Hickman kind of abandoned his responsibility here, but you can run it.
There's your
Because
green dog. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
it's a
I
green
remember
dog.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So wait,
Yeah.
let's just for the listeners rewind it here and explain what green dogging means.
So a green dog means this, that you're playing man to man on a back or a tight end,
Mhm.
and when that back or tight end stays in to pass protect, instead of standing there and covering grass, you add into the pass rush.
Right.
That's
So
called
this
green dog.
linebacker is the guy who's responsible for this running back, who I believe is Eckler on the field,
Right.
correct? And because at the snap,
And the reason that Eckler has to stay in, here, go back,
that's
is
actually
because
Robinson. Okay.
center is actually sliding to the field. Okay, he's sliding to the bottom of the screen, and there's 3 pass rushers up on the line of scrimmage up top. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
right
there's
here.
only
Yep.
then 2 offensive linemen available because the center is sliding the other way. So the
Right.
back has to become part of the protection. Otherwise, there's going to be a free hitter at Daniels. So the back, if it's Eckler, ends up being part of the protection. And is that Owusu Kuramoa?
Yes. Joker.
So
Yeah.
he adds in as a pass rusher.
Right. So this isn't necessarily always going to be a blitz, because if Robinson were leaking out to the flat,
Oh, it's
Joker would
Robinson.
have to
Okay.
cover him.
Yeah, if Robinson released immediately into the flat, well, what would happen is you'd get a clean rusher off the edge, but Owusu Kuramoa would go with Robinson because that's his man-to-man assignment.
Right.
But
Now,
they're playing zone overall.
Yep. And now this is a nice blitz. It's a nice rush. It gets the intended free rusher, as you can see.
Right.
But that's
Mm.
where Jaden Daniels, being Jaden Daniels,
Wow.
and a superhuman being, throws on the road a
And
bomb.
his movement caused Hickman to feel that
Mhm.
That's
he's
incredible.
not going to go over the top, so he abandoned his deep middle
I want to
responsibility,
see this.
reacting to more of an underneath route, an intermediate route, and therefore the throw was available over the top.
Yep. And you can see here the 3 rushers you're mentioning overloaded this side. So they've got 3
Right.
protectors there. They have 3 here, and two rushers on this
Well,
side.
if you go back to the head, you'll see that 30,
Yep.
they're also thinking
Being
why they
covered,
slide
right.
this way, they know we don't, but
Mhm.
that's what they see. And so Robinson has to stay in to pass protect.
Yep. Man, this is one where Jim looks at it on film and says, man, we had this guy. We had the
Yep.
protection breakdown, but sometimes that guy is just much
And you
better
want
than-
and what you want to do with Daniels, and you want to do with Hurts as well, by the way, is you want to make sure that there's some contain element to your pass rush, because you can't even Hurts can do this.
That's a
He's got
great
an
point,
arm.
because I feel like teams have not been as aggressive as you see these 4 guys here on the left side. Against the Eagles, you're seeing a lot more stunting in the middle. This guy will come around here to almost stunt spy, right? Against
Right.
Jalen Hurts running up the middle. They have not done that yet to Daniels, but you know what? Next time around,
No, you don't want to let Hurts do this. Hurts can do this.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
this is not something you want to do.
God,
This
look
is a
at this
but
throw.
this is a
Look
big
at his
time
throw.
throw.
Unbelievable.
throw.
Just unbelievable.
That is big time.
It's a
And the
great throw.
placement. My
Mm.
Lord.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. I love watching good play like that. All right. So defensively, that was an example of we showed the 6-man rush, the green dog, and this is a lot of what the Browns have been doing, which they have not done in the past. We'll take a look at one more play from the Browns defense. So when this is the case, Greg, what is the big coaching point for the offensive line this week against this Browns defense?
Well, one of the things that Jim does really well is by his fronts, he tries to create one-on-ones. So again, the Eagles have a good O-line, but he's going to try to create one-on-ones. It would not surprise me to see in specific situations either Garrett or Zadarius Smith line up over Juergens. It would not surprise me at all, because they're really good pass rushers. Juergens is, he's a good player, but I think that he might be viewed as a potential weak link when it comes to pass pro. Going to start at right guard.
I will have to see. I assume Becton Adam will still get it, unless for some reason.
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't
is he healthy?
expect-
He's healthy?
Yeah. He's
Okay.
off the injury report. Yeah.
Okay, good.
By the
So,
way,
yeah.
and-
So
and-
I would think Juergens is one guy they'll try to attack for, because he's,
well,
for a really good O-line, he's probably the one that people would look at as a potential weak link.
so by the way, in Juergens' rookie season, the Browns came into Philly for practice, and they got the Juergens.
Yeah.
I remember
Right.
they it's one of the rare times that you see a team say sort of in a training camp practice and a joint practice, look and see someone, because the year before that the Eagles crushed them. And I guess it was 2 years. Yeah, it was 23, whatever his
Mhm.
first year playing, and they got to him. So
that's what I think you'll see
Yeah.
some of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Okay,
know,
let's take a look at this.
just before we see this next
Sure,
play,
sure.
is you have to be really careful of not letting Hurts sort of find his comfort zone, which is really these days getting out of the pocket. So you have to be really careful of that. I can tell you right now that they're saying we got to keep him in the pocket. And they're probably even saying from a secondary perspective in the secondary meeting room that he's going to throw one to us. So the point is you got to be really careful. You can't, the play we just saw, Geoff, where
Mhm.
Daniels got outside,
Mhm.
that's Hurts' comfort zone. You can't let that happen if you're the Browns. If Hurts gets out early and he's capable of making a throw, obviously he missed one on the first play 2 weeks ago where he
Mhm.
had Barkley, and he missed him and threw it out of bounds. But that's kind of the way Hurts plays, and you can't let that happen if you're the Browns. If you're
Right.
the Eagles and it happens, you're going to be really happy.
Yeah, well, maybe Jaden Daniels just spoiled it for for Jalen Hurts
Yeah.
because maybe there'll be a counter. This is Washington past midfield. I believe it's a first down. They've got 12 personnel out there. You can see the two tight ends in
Yep.
line here. They look big. It's only two men on the outside. So the Browns have responded in more of a what looks like a conventional four-man front. And Greg, this play you may remember results in a half sack between I want to say, is it Dalvin Tomlinson and a safety, I believe. Do I have the name right? Dalvin?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So,
So
but this is Delpit. He's a really good blitzer.
yeah, and again, he may not play in this
Yeah.
game.
So, because look at Delpit win on the outside. This is a
Yep.
play I think he got hurt too.
Oh, it might be, yeah, because he kind of gets friendly fire here as they come together and sandwich.
There. Yep.
So
Yeah.
we'll see this from the end zone, which will give us a better feel for
Sure.
what the pressure concept is.
Sure. Let's do that. All right. You want to set it up here before I run it more?
Yeah. So I mean, they basically have a four-man front. They have Garrett at their right defensive end position, and
Wide nine.
Yep.
yeah, I'm trying to see where's
I
the
believe this
depth?
guy in the middle head up is Tomlinson. I
Yeah.
forget who that is, and that's their opposite defensive end.
All right, so let's run it and see because there's a concept here, as I recall.
Okay. Got a little motion from right to left. You want me to freeze it anytime or just let it
Well,
run?
keep going. Oh, so basically, it's a blitz, and they're
Mhm.
slanting their line away from the pressure.
Right.
That because that's basically so. Again, there's a green dog element to this as well. By the way,
Yep. That would be 59. That's not Joker. I forget who 59 is. Maybe it is Joker, but first they let the play action.
59 is
59
Winston
is
Reed,
Winston Reed, who was
Winston
their
Reed.
third linebacker when they played out of base,
undrafted free agent. Yeah.
undrafted
So
free agent.
you could
He
see
filled in for Jordan Hicks, I think.
once he
Yeah, he
sees
is, he
that
is.
there's no handoff and he's not, have to be responsible for the running back because the running back's in pass pro, he gets to sneak around in here and help
So
clock.
what happens? Go back just a little bit more. You're going to get it's two green dogs really, because you're going to get Winston Reed 59, who's responsible for the back and man coverage, because they're playing cover one here. It's
Right.
man free cover one.
Yep.
Reed comes as a green dogger here, and over the tight end 87.
Oh, there.
And because Delpit's a blitzer. Delpit is a blitzer. He's a
Right.
called blitzer. But
Right.
59 and who's over 87, I can't see his number.
Yeah.
It might be I'm trying to see
30. Hickman, right? 30?
30 is Devin Bush.
Oh, Bush.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's weird. I know he's a linebacker, and Hickman's
Yeah.
33.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're both green doggers. Reed and Bush are green doggers. You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what squeezes the pocket. But Delpit is a blitzer.
Yeah, and he comes so fast around that corner right there and kind of
Yeah.
does the Brian Dawkins X-Man leap at him.
Ooh, yeah.
That is it. That's the Dawkins flying sack right there, man.
So you have to be really aware of that this team Green Dogs, they're
Yeah.
very aggressive. They don't have guys just cover grass.
Right.
That's the term we always use when guys just stand there. They don't just cover grass. So if they're playing man and they line up in such a way that you feel like you need to keep your tight end or back in as part of the protection, they will come.
Yeah.
And you've got to be aware of that. They will come because that person who comes, the green dogger, he's not accounted for in the protection.
Right. Right. And
you
we've seen
can't
the
change
Eagles.
And contrary, I hear this all the time, and people don't seem to understand. You can't change your protection call in the middle of the play.
You get that guy. You get that.
Because I get that a lot.
Know.
Like, why didn't the tackle do that? Because he was responsible for this guy.
Right.
And
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about mass chaos? That would ensue if you tried to completely change the middle of the snap.
But the point is,
so that concerns me though, Greg. Though, just because we've seen the Eagles at times this year struggle with the sorting element of late blitzes, some stunts, some loops here, and I don't know if Jim will be that aggressive because, like you said, you don't want Jalen to get too far outside that pocket. But there are ways to blitz and keep a guy contained.
And the other thing to keep in mind, and obviously it's the run game is going to be, that's the Eagles are going to have to run the ball, but they're pretty big up front. Tomlinson's always been a good run defender. Quentin Jefferson is a guy. There's two defensive linemen in this league that seem to go from team to team every year, but wherever they play, they really play well. Quentin Jefferson is one of them. He's on the Browns, number 72, and the other is Mario Edwards. There's two guys that seem like they're on a different team every single year. I don't know why, but every time I see them and watch tape, it's like these guys flash and they show up. Jefferson's been a good player in this league.
He's been on 6 teams, Seattle 3 times. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, I don't. I can't answer that.
Yeah, it's weird.
And Shelby Harris is not a bad player either, by the way.
All right, well, that's a good look, man. I think every nightmare is for an Eagles fan who cried about Jim Schwartz not blitzing enough. He comes in here and attacks sends the hounds at Jalen Hurts, causes fumbles, turnovers, and they escape with a win. That would be a nightmare scenario for the Eagles and their fans. But that's a good look.
The bottom line is obviously fans are very concerned about their offense, as they should be, and we hope this with a week. Going through whatever it is they want to go through, that Hurts comes out and plays well. But this is a game to me where their defense has to dominate. This is not a good offense they're playing against. They've got O-line concerns, as Adam detailed, with injuries. And the quarterback has not played well at all. They don't run it often and they don't run it well. So, this has to be a game where the defense controls the game. I'm not saying that they should shut them out, but, they should be able to control the game.
Would agree. All right, good stuff. That is breaking down the Browns, the Eagles' opponent this Sunday. That's Greg Cosell. That's Adam Caplan. I'm Geoff Mosher. Thank you for watching Inside the Tape, an Inside the Birds presentation. Catch you on the next one.